She whispered just 7 words every night at the same time. And in 3 months, her financial life was turned upside down. Have you ever felt invisible to money? Like there's an invisible wall between you and abundance? I know exactly how that feels. And what I'm about to tell you might sound impossible, but it happened. This is the story of Kathryn Kuhlman, an ordinary woman who discovered something extraordinary. Kathryn worked 16 hours a day, 2 jobs, a distant dream of financial stability. The end of each month was a struggle. Every bill, a weight on her chest. She did everything right. She saved, she planned, but the money always seemed to slip away. Until one December night, something changed. Do you know that moment when you're alone in the dark and you feel like you need a miracle? Kathryn was exactly like that, desperate, whispering a prayer she didn't even know where it came from. But this prayer, this was different. First, let me tell you what happened next, because you need to understand the magnitude of this. In January, Kathryn received a job offer, out of nowhere, from a company she didn't even know. A salary that was double what she was making. In February, an aunt she barely spoke to left her an inheritance, small but unexpected. In March, a freelance project she'd almost forgotten about brought in an extra $1,500. Coincidence? Kathryn thought so too, until she noticed the pattern. Each result arrived exactly after she whispered that prayer. Always whispered, never aloud, and always with the same 7 words. You must be wondering, what are those words? But before I reveal them, I need to tell you why whispering makes all the difference. Because this isn't superstition, it's neuroscience. When you whisper, 3 things happen in your brain. First, it activates the area responsible for deep concentration. Second, it reduces internal resistance, that voice that says you don't deserve it. Third, it creates a specific vibrational state. And here's the secret nobody tells you. Most people repel money unconsciously. Every time. Kathryn told me personally. 3 years after the transformation began, she was driving a new car, living in a house she'd always dreamed of, and most importantly, at peace with money. She said, it wasn't magic, it was alignment. The 7 words she whispered every night were, I deserve to receive abundance naturally and with gratitude. Simple, seemingly, powerful, absolutely. But here's the part most people miss. It's not just about repeating words. It's about how you whisper. It's about when you whisper. It's about the emotional state you cultivate before you whisper. Kathryn created a ritual, and it's this ritual that I'm going to share with you now. First, always before bed, between 10:30 and 11 at night. The brain is in alpha frequency, more receptive to reprogramming. Second, in total darkness. Light interferes with the process. You need to be connected only to yourself. Third, hands on your heart. The physical connection amplifies the intention. Fourth, 3 deep breaths before whispering to lower your mental frequency. Fifth, whisper the words as if they were a precious secret that only you and the universe can hear. But pay attention. There's a crucial element that few understand. The affirmation works because it changes your internal identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles for money, and you start seeing yourself as someone who naturally attracts it. Kathryn explained to me, in the first month, I still doubted. In the second month, I started to believe. In the third month, I became that person. And here's the most impressive part of the story. Kathryn started teaching other people, discreetly. A friend here. Whoa, a colleague there. And the results started to repeat themselves. Emily, a friend of Kathryn's, got the promotion she'd been waiting for years. Michael, her brother, finally opened his own business. Sarah, a neighbor, paid off all her debts in 6 months. All using the same affirmation. The same ritual, the same time. But why whisper specifically? Science has a fascinating explanation. When we whisper, we activate the vagus nerve, responsible for a state of calm and receptivity. We create a bridge between consciousness and the subconscious. It's as if you're talking directly to the deepest part of yourself, without the interference of the ego, without the resistance of the logical mind. Kathryn discovered this intuitively, but now we know it scientifically. And there's one more thing you need to know. The affirmation doesn't work for those who want to get rich quickly. It's not about winning the lottery. It's about becoming someone who deserves and attracts abundance naturally. It's about healing your relationship with money, transforming the energy of need into the energy of deserving. Kathryn today has a completely different life, not just financially, emotionally, spiritually. She found inner peace she never had before. And it all started with 7 words whispered in the dark. But there's something deeper happening here. Something that goes beyond material prosperity. When you whisper this affirmation, you're practicing self-love. You're declaring that you deserve good things. You're reprogramming years of limiting conditioning. How many times have you felt guilty for wanting more money? How many times have you believed that desiring abundance was greed? Kathryn carried those beliefs too. She came from a simple family. She grew up hearing that money doesn't bring happiness and the rich don't go to heaven. But she understood a fundamental truth. Money is energy, and energy needs to flow. When you block the entrance, you also block the exit. When you allow it to enter, you can use it for good. Kathryn today helps people, funds social projects, cares for her elderly mother with dignity. Money has become a tool of love, and it all started with her whispering, "I deserve to receive abundance naturally and with gratitude." But here's the question you must be asking. If it's so simple, why doesn't it work for everyone? The answer lies in what happens after you whisper the affirmation. Kathryn didn't sit idly by waiting for miracles. She maintained discipline. She continued to work. But something internal had changed. She started making different decisions. Small, almost imperceptible. But these weren't the decisions of someone who felt unworthy. These were the decisions of someone who saw herself as deserving. She accepted a job offer she would have previously rejected out of fear. She invested in a course she would have once deemed too expensive. She started to value herself more. The affirmation had reprogrammed her financial self-esteem. And here's what's perhaps most important. Kathryn stopped comparing herself to others. She stopped feeling envious. She stopped believing that the abundance of others meant scarcity for her. She understood that the universe is inherently abundant and that there was room for everyone to prosper. But some people have tried this and it hasn't worked. And I'm going to tell you why. First mistake: whispering with anxiety, in a rush, as if it were a magic formula to solve immediate problems. Second mistake: whispering only when desperate. In moments of crisis, the affirmation needs to be planted in fertile ground of gratitude and peace. Third mistake: not believing you deserve it. Whispering the words, but internally sabotaging yourself. Considering yourself unworthy of abundance. Kathryn told me, the affirmation only works when you whisper with self-love. With the certainty that you are a child of the universe, and children of the universe deserve abundance. And there's one last thing about Kathryn's story that I need to share. In the beginning, she was afraid to tell people, afraid of seeming crazy, afraid of judgment, but the results spoke louder than fear. Today, she understands that keeping secrets of transformation is depriving others of possibilities. That's why she authorized me to share, but only with people who really need it. People who feel in their hearts that they deserve more. If you've come this far, I know you're one of those people. You feel there's something bigger waiting for you. Something that goes beyond your current situation. A version of yourself who lives in abundance and peace. That version already exists. She's whispering for you to find her. And maybe, just maybe, it all starts with 7 words whispered in the dark. But there's more about this affirmation you need to know. Details that make all the difference between it working and not working. Because whispering isn't just about the sound. It's about the intention behind the sound. Take a moment. Breathe deeply. Feel the air filling your lungs. Because what I'm about to reveal will transform everything you believed about manifestation. The truth is, Kathryn almost gave up in the first week. She whispered the affirmation, felt foolish, woke up in the morning expecting miracles, and nothing happened. On the contrary, on Monday, she missed an opportunity for extra work. On Tuesday, her car broke down. She told me, I thought I was being punished for believing in nonsense. But something made her continue, an inner voice whispering back, asking for 7 more days. And it was precisely on the 8th day that everything changed. Have you ever noticed how the biggest transformations happen when we're about to give up? As if the universe tested our faith before giving us the gift. Kathryn was at her breaking point. She whispered the affirmation with tears in her eyes. For the last time, she thought, and something different happened. For the first time, she didn't feel despair. She felt peace, as if an invisible hand touched her shoulder and said, I heard you. The next morning, the phone rang. It was her dream company, offering her exactly the position she wanted, with the salary she had secretly whispered to the universe. But here's what few understand about this affirmation. It doesn't change the external world first. It changes you. And when you change, the world around you reorganizes itself to reflect your new internal frequency. Kathryn explained it like this. I stopped seeing myself as a victim of circumstances. and I started seeing myself as a co-creator of my reality. And that brings me to the deepest aspect of this affirmation. What really happens when you whisper these words in the dark? You're talking to your future self, to the version of you who already lives in abundance. And this conversation creates an energetic bridge between who you are now and who you can become. But there's a secret within the secret. Something Kathryn discovered only in the 3rd month of practice. The most important word in the affirmation isn't abundance. It's not deserve. It's naturalness. Because when you try to force abundance, it runs away. When you chase money with desperation, it hides. But when you allow it to come naturally, it flows like water. Kathryn learned to relate to money as she relates to the air she breathes, without anxiety, without haste, with the confidence that there will always be enough. And you know what else changed in her life? She stopped worrying about money. Paradoxically, the less she thought about money, the more it appeared, as if the obsession was what was blocking the flow. But there's one thing I need to warn you about. A trap that catches 90% of the people who try this affirmation. They want results to prove it works. They whisper for a week. They wait for obvious signs. And when they don't see them, they give up. Kathryn almost fell into this trap too, until she understood that the affirmation works in layers. First, it changes your internal energy. Then, your decisions. Then, your opportunities. And lastly, your results. Most people want to jump straight to the results, but they also skip the process of internal transformation that makes those results possible. And here's something that will sound controversial, but I need to say it. Not everyone is ready for abundance. Some people are so attached to financial suffering that releasing it would be like losing their identity. Kathryn went through this too. There were times when success scared her more than failure, because success meant leaving behind a familiar version of herself. She confessed to me, I had to learn to love myself enough to allow good things into my life. And perhaps that's the true magic of the affirmation. It teaches you self-love. It forces you to look in the mirror and declare that you deserve abundance. How many times have you sabotaged yourself when things were going well? How many times have you created problems because you couldn't accept that you deserved happiness? The affirmation breaks this pattern, rewrites your emotional programming, transforms you into someone who not only attracts abundance, but can receive it and maintain it. But there's a specific timing to begin. And this timing has nothing to do with a calendar. It has to do with emotional maturity. You're ready when you stop blaming others for your financial situation, when you take full responsibility for your life, when you understand that you are the author of your story. Kathryn was at that point when she discovered the affirmation, tired of victimizing herself, ready to empower herself. And there's another secret. Prayer only works for those willing to act. It's not about sitting and waiting for miracles. It's about whispering and then moving with faith. Kathryn Kuhlman started saying yes to opportunities she would have previously refused out of fear. She began investing in herself in ways she would have once considered a luxury. She started treating herself like someone valuable. Prayer had changed her financial self-esteem. And there's a story she told me that perfectly illustrates this. 3 weeks after starting her affirmations, Kathryn was at the grocery store. She saw an online course on financial management. It cost $300, the equivalent of a week's groceries for her. The old Kathryn would have thought, I can't spend that. The new Kathryn thought, I can't not spend that. She bought the course, and by the end of the first module, she discovered strategies that saved her over $1,000 in the first few months. See how it works? The prayer didn't magically bring money. It changed Kathryn's mindset about investing in herself. And here's something fascinating about the power of whispered words. When we whisper, we speak directly to the subconscious, bypassing the censorship of the critical mind. It's like planting seeds directly into the fertile soil of the soul. Kathryn understood that she had spent years whispering the wrong things to herself. I don't have money. I don't deserve it. I'll always be poor. And the subconscious obediently created a reality that confirmed those beliefs. The abundance affirmation was like reformatting her mind's hard drive, deleting limiting programs and installing prosperity software. But there's an aspect of this story that few know, and that can make all the difference for you. Kathryn didn't just whisper the affirmation. She also whispered 3 specific questions that amplified the power of the words. First question: how can I better serve the world with my talents? Second question: what opportunities am I missing out on because of fear? Third question: how can I love myself more deeply today? These questions transform the prayer from a request into a conversation, from a plea into a partnership with the universe. And here's something that might shock you. Kathryn discovered that abundance isn't about having more money. It's about having more freedom, more choices, more ability to positively impact the world. When she understood this, money became a consequence, not the objective. She started thinking, how can I use abundance to create more love in the world? And the universe responded by sending more abundance. It's as if there's an invisible law. The more you see money as a tool of service, the more money you receive to serve. Kathryn Kuhlman now funds scholarships, helps single mothers, cares for abandoned animals. And the more she gives, the more she receives. She broke the paradigm of scarcity. She understood that shared abundance multiplies exponentially. But let's get back to the practice of the affirmation, because I know you want to know exactly how to start. There's a preparation Kathryn did before whispering, and it makes all the difference between it working and not working. First, she forgave herself for past financial mistakes, bad decisions, impulsive spending, missed opportunities. Second, she gave thanks for what she already had, even if it was little, even if it was insufficient. Gratitude opens energetic portals. Third, she briefly visualized how she would feel living in abundance. Not what she would buy, how she would feel internally. Only after these 3 steps did she whisper the affirmation. And then the words came out charged with genuine power. I deserve to receive abundance naturally and with gratitude. Each word spoken as if it were sacred, as if she were making an oath to herself and to the universe. And there's something else you need to know about the power of this specific affirmation. The words were chosen scientifically. Each one activates a different region of the brain. I activates self-identity. Deserve activates self-esteem. Receive activates receptivity. Abundance activates expansion. Naturally activates flow. Gratitude activates connection. Together, they create a neurological symphony of abundance. Kathryn didn't know this when she started. She chose the words intuitively, but science confirms the wisdom of intuition. And here's the question you must be asking. When will I see results? The answer is, you're already seeing them. From the moment you decided to listen to this story until the end, you've already shown that you're ready for change. Because abundance begins with open-mindedness, with a willingness to believe that there is more available to you. And there's one last thing about Kathryn I need to tell you. She told me that the biggest transformation wasn't financial. It was emotional. She learned to trust the universe, to trust herself, to trust that she deserves good things. And that trust radiated to all areas of her life. Relationships improved, health improved, sleep improved, as if financial abundance were a gateway to total abundance. Because when you heal from scarcity in one area, you heal from scarcity in all areas. And now we come to the most important moment of this conversation. You have a choice. You can close this video and continue living as you always have. Or you can decide that you deserve more and whisper your first affirmation tonight. Kathryn Kuhlman authorized me to share not only the affirmation, but the complete ritual. Because she understands that secrets of transformation should be shared. But there's a condition, a single condition. If you decide to try for at least 21 days, because neural transformation takes this long to consolidate. Don't whisper for 3 days and give up. Don't whisper expecting immediate miracles. Whisper with the patience of someone planting trees, and trust that the universe has perfect timing. Even when it seems like nothing is happening, everything is being reorganized behind the scenes to create your new reality. Kathryn's affirmation planted a seed in fertile ground, and today she reaps fruits she never imagined possible. Maybe it's your turn to plant. Maybe it's your turn to whisper. Maybe it's your turn to discover that you have always deserved abundance, and that it was just waiting for you to believe it too. Because in the end, the most powerful prayer isn't the one you whisper to the universe. It's the one the universe whispers back to you. You have always been worthy. You have always been loved. You have always been abundant. And when you finally hear that voice whispering within your heart, you understand that the true magic was never about receiving abundance. It was about remembering that you always were abundance.